feel free to ask questions. We'll help you and all those kind of things. We'll probably have to mute a little bit and stuff, but just ask as many questions as you want because I'm happy to answer. All right, so I'm gonna continue. All right, so we do these classes about every 2 weeks. So we have, you'll see on my Meetup site, so that's where we advertise everything we do. So make sure you're on Meetup, and I'm sure that you guys are all here, you're on Meetup. But I put classes all the way through July, so probably starting next week, which is hard to believe it's already June. It's like May. I don't even know what happened to May, or I'm not sure exactly what happened the past year and a half, but it's crazy. So I will probably in June post the classes for August and try to keep, what I'm trying to do is keep like 1 to 2 months ahead of time. So that way you can see all the different classes and get signed up if you're wanting to attend. So let's see. So I will, today we're going to do roasted sweet potato and cauliflower tacos, which has a really nice kind of a cashew crema on it. And it has a little bit of spiciness. So if you don't want the spiciness, you can always leave the spiciness out and just make that cashew crema. And that type of thing, which is really good. And these are fun. You can make them like in hard taco shells, or you can do the soft taco shells. You can make them like tostados. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you could do, and especially if you take the avocado and you crush it up, smash it up and put it on like a tostado shell. Then you can put everything on top of that in your crema and everything will hold together, which is really nice. So there's many different ways that you could do this. And you could also just make it, not use, and just crumble up the taco, the shells and stuff in there, and you have almost like a bowl, which is yummy too. Especially if you've got this rice, put everything on top, put your little tortilla chips around there that are all baked, and put the crema, some avocado. Yeah. So many ways you can do this. And then we're going to make a Mexican brown rice with quinoa. So usually when you see like brown rices or Mexican rices, they're usually, you see a lot of yellow ones, you do see the brown rice, but this one's got quinoa in it. So it's kind of got that double bang for your buck for the starch, which is really nice. And it's, if you like the kind of the crunchiness of the quinoa and the rice, it just gives it's a really nice, like filling dish. But like I said, it's really good in bowls too. Put some in there, put everything else around it, crema, avocado, tomatoes, fresh onions, all that, and it's yummy. So, all right, so I'm going to let Jerry, so I'm going to kind of watch, get people when they're joining to join in. So I'm going to let Jerry introduce himself. He'll come on up here.
Hi, everybody. For those who don't know me, Jerry Casados, plant-based nutritionist, and good to see everybody. A lot of people we know, and some new first timers there. Welcome. Yeah, I'm a plant-based nutritionist. I've been doing plant-based now 14 years. But we started. Kelley came along with me for health reasons. So, heart disease was progressing, and I was on 3 blood pressure meds and typical cholesterol meds. So I'm off all that. 35 pounds later, here I am, healthy and wise, I hope. And
at least healthy.
Maybe older.
You're not wiser, right?
But anyway, I have do free consultations if you're interested in, because I have a private nutrition practice. And I am a Start Solution certified instructor for Dr. John McDougall. And if you are interested in any, adjust your diet analysis, just need some transitioning or what foods to eat, just email me. My information in the chat window. I'll be glad to talk to you about it. But with that, I'll just hand it over to Kelley and wait to eat the food.
That's what he does. He's just like, I'll film it and stuff, but at least he knows he's got some kind of a prize at the end, which of course is always dinner. So yep. He likes that. So it's usually every 2 weeks and stuff when we do these classes, it's something completely new that we, because we get really used to the sorry. We have a dog that sometimes bark at nothing, but so one of the things that we always do is, we kind of get in a rut of what we're cooking. And so, we'll do like burritos and we'll do baked potatoes and we'll do tacos and we'll do those kind of things. And then all of a sudden when you do these classes and stuff every 2 weeks, you're like, oh, I forgot about that recipe, the cauliflower and sweet potato, which are really good. And so it's kind of nice. We kind of put them back into our repertoire. We made heroes probably, they were made with jackfruit probably about a month ago. And those are delicious. So those are things that we've been adding in like on Saturdays or Sundays and stuff to make those up with tzatziki sauce and all that. So like I said, if I ever talk about recipes and I talk about like we made some, like nacho cheese sauce or any of those kind of things like that I mentioned, if you want, just email me at Kelley@PlantBasedKitchen. And the next day and stuff, it's within 24 hours and stuff, I try to send you the recipes right away. So I have tons of recipes, happy to share. It's all about building that, healthy community. So looking forward to it. All right, so I'll watch for questions. Jerry will kind of signal me if questions do come up. All right, so we are going to get started with the roasted sweet potato and cauliflower tacos. And then, and I'm actually I'll start those here in just a minute, but I'm gonna get the Mexican brown rice because it takes a little bit longer. So one of the things, if you wanted to speed it up really quick, is you could use like the brown rice that's already been cooked. So let's say the day before you had a bunch of brown rice with some bowls, you had some leftover, it was a cup. Feel free to go ahead and, use that. You would just make sure everything else is cooked. And then you put the brown rice at the end just to heat it up. Same thing with the quinoa. So you could cook those kind of things and, prepare them the day ahead of time and then just add them into the dish if you didn't want to wait the 20 to 30 minutes while it's simmering and doing all those things. So we always try to look at when we're doing recipes, make them easy. That's what it's all about. It's like, how do you get really good tasting food quick and get it on the table and then, eat and enjoy it and your family enjoys it. And then you can go do other things like watching My 600-Pound Life, like Mona was sharing with us. So I have seen that show, so I will not. So if you watch it, it will get you caught up in it because you're just like, the whole surgery and all that kind of stuff is something. Yeah, there's all kinds of shows I could get caught up in too. So I try to. So, all right, I get it. All right, so we're going to do the Mexican brown rice. So we are going to start. So I've got an induction burner, which is really nice. If they're, you can get them on Amazon, and this is the electrical one. So it's really nice if you don't have an induction burner. But if you going into the summertime now, since we're all kind of going to that place, it's really nice to have an induction burner to keep things warm, but also to cook without heating up your whole house. So I had a bunch of these left over from my cooking school things that I did before COVID. So I just bring them up and use them. All right, so we're going to start. So we're going to do a small amount of vegetable broth. We do not cook with oil. So one of the things that we always do, of course, is vegetable broth, vegetable stock. This one's kind of cool. It's hard to find though. It comes from Costco and it's a low sodium vegetable broth. So if you're looking for no added sugar, no, very low sodium, all that, it's a good one. But you have to, Costco, of course, does lots of bone broth and things like that. Once in a while, you'll find this. And then when I do find it, because I like the little size of the boxes, I will actually buy like 2 or 3 cases of them and just keep it in the pantry. So they're really nice. The calories is like 10 calories. And they're very, like I said, very, very low sodium. So I put a little bit in there to get going. And then if we follow along on the recipes, I'm gonna add the garlic. So let me grab all the recipe ingredients. This nice, it's all made up. All right, so I've got garlic. So think about with garlic is, you can buy like at Costco, just the garlic that's already minced up that you don't have to chop up, or you can chop up your own garlic, especially if you have the garlic smashers and all that. Another thing too, I always show during the class, another thing that you can do when you want a different flavor is on a Saturday or Sunday, grab, your big bulbs of garlic, put them in the oven, just, with the regular, it's got all the paper kind of garlic covering on it stuff, just throw it in the oven, 350 for probably about 45 minutes to an hour, and then peel it all down. And then what I did is I took like 5 or 6 little garlic cloves and I put them in like a little pile, and then I stuck the pan in the freezer. And so now I have these little bunches of garlic here, which is like 4 or 5 cloves. And so if I want a roasted garlic type of flavor, so like in spaghetti or something, I can just grab these right out of the freezer and you have this garlic and it's great. So one baggie holds about 5 or 6 of those bulbs, the big ones, like the medium sized ones. So I keep that in the freezer. But otherwise, plain garlic, quick stir. All right, and then I've got onion. So I've got onion just chopped up. This is a white onion, but you can use yellow, red, scallions, whatever you've got in the refrigerator. Don't worry about having to have a specific onion that's called out. A lot of times on my recipes, I just say onion, just because that way you don't have to worry about, do I have a yellow onion or a white onion or those type of things. So add that in. Stack these up. Okay, and then we've got the green chilies. So we have hatch green chilies here, which is really nice. So you can buy green chilies in like little cans that are in the Mexican food aisles in the stores, but these were actually ones that were roasted. They were hatch green chilies. So this one here, you can tell I didn't do a lot because there's some seeds in it and it's hot. So we had the hot ones that was in the freezer. So I just chopped it up, got a little bit of seeds, and I'm just going to add that in. If you don't want hot, You can always get a mild green chili because those are in the stores in the cans. I just didn't have any of the cans. Or you can leave it completely out. A Mexican rice is always good with a green chili, especially if it's a hatch. Or Pueblo. We got Pueblo close, but we prefer the hatch ones. But I know anybody from Pueblo gets mad at me when I say that. All right. And you can smell it already. So this was like smell-o-vision, which remember Emerald used to say that. One of the things that if you could smell this, it smells like green chili and garlic, onions. It's just really, really good. And if your vegetable broth starts burning off a little bit and it starts getting a little bit like dry, just add a little bit more. Or what I always talk about when you're doing the vegetable broth, vegetable broth burns off really quick. And so one of the things, if I'm cooking and I'm sauteing for quite a while and I just want to keep it sauteed, I will do like a tablespoon of vegetable broth and then a tablespoon of water. So I'll cut it in half, whatever the recipe says, and the water keeps it from drying up so much, which is really nice. So you don't have to worry about, grabbing something out of the laundry or, the washing machine and putting it in the dryer and worrying about your food burning. So if you just cut it with a little bit of water, it lasts a lot longer. And also with vegetable broth, you can actually saute onions and caramelize them. It just takes a lot longer because a lot of people are like, you can't caramelize anymore because you don't use oil. You just use vegetable broth and you just keep adding it and add a little bit of water, but then add some more vegetable broth. It will actually, if you just kind of let it simmer for about 10, 15 minutes, maybe some up to 20 minutes, depending on what the temperature it has, you will get nice caramelized onions. So you can do everything other than frying things without oil. But you can bake French fries, you can do all those kind of things. We also show like a lot of times and stuff when I'm cooking this up, French fries. So this is actually potatoes that have been baked. So they were baked in the oven 350. So I wrapped them in aluminum foil, but parchment paper first and then aluminum foil. And I baked these yesterday or the day before, I can't remember. I baked them for like about an hour and a half. So I just kind of touch them a little bit to see if they're soft. And if they are, then I take them out and I let them just, make sure that they're cooling off. And then I put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in the refrigerator. The reason why I do this is you could actually chop these up and you could make like roasted potatoes with them if you wanted to, or add them into kind of a dish or add them into some soup. But we cut these up when they're cold like this and make French fries. So you just slice them up and then you put them on like a baking sheet. And if you have one of these like silpat type of little what am I trying to say? Silicone pads. You put that on there and put your French fries. Wonderful French fries. So I always have the baked potatoes like this around, and I usually have 5, 6, 7. And so Jerry sometimes during, like for lunch, he'll grab like 2 or 3 potatoes and slice up and make some French fries with the sandwich. So like maybe a mock tuna salad or a meatloaf sandwich with French fries, which is really good. Okay, so that's what it looks like so far. So you got the onions that are translucent, which are starting to get really nice and soft. And you could saute this if you wanted the onions really, really soft. Saute it for another 5, 10 minutes. Just keep adding a little vegetable broth and then just keep stirring it a little bit and then just keep it going. So it just depends on how soft you want the onions or how not soft you want them. So those look really good though. All right, so we got 2 to 3 minutes. So we're gonna stir in the rice. So just a regular brown rice. Stir that in. And then we're gonna add the quinoa, so just a regular quinoa. What could be really pretty in this, if you have like the tricolor, you could do that. But right now in the stores, because of COVID and certain things you can find, certain things you can't, I've just got the regular. Add that in. Give it a quick stir. All right. Then we've got the vegetable broth. So we're going to do, as it says on here, 1.5 cups of vegetable broth. And you're going to watch it because it depends, depends on what temperature you have it on. I've got it on a medium heat. If for some reason your vegetable broth burns off, just add a little bit more. Just have it right there ready. Yeah. Give it another quick stir. Get all the quinoa that's kind of gone up to the sides a little bit. Get it down in the pan. And if you don't have the vegetable broth when you're doing this, water is fine. Don't go buy vegetable broth to do the recipe. You could use water. All right, so we got the wet vegetable broth in there. So then we've got the beans. Oh, the beans are here. Oops, one man overboard. That's okay. Penny will come eventually find it and eat it. She doesn't care pretty much what it is as long as it's not like onions, and if it's cooked, it's good. Stir those in. I'll show you here in just a second. Okay, and then we've got tomatoes, so just regular diced tomatoes. I left the juice and everything else in there because you want that. That's going to add like more flavor to your vegetable broth, but it's also going to help you not have everything burn off so quickly. So if you don't like the big chunks of tomatoes, you could actually, chop these up a little bit or use like a potato masher and mash them down a little bit, but I like the chunks.
No salt.
Yep, these are, and as Jerry reminded me, these are no salt. So one of the things I always tell the story of was looking to, trying to get away from salt and sugar because those are, two most addictive things. And I don't have a problem with sugar. I can, it's like, okay, I'm good with it. And I could go without sugar for a long time. But salt, tough. I still use a little bit here and there, but I have noticed, and I just noticed this today, I grabbed one of these little flat pretzels, and I was chewing on one of those because I was like, okay, I want something just to because I was hungry. And so I grabbed one of those that I have, and I was like, wow, this is really salty. So I think I'm getting there, but most people will say it's like 21 days and then you're good. It's been months. So salt is my vice. I mean, but still I could, if I want like a nut or something like that, I would prefer the salted ones. But watching it, and really, Jerry would have to even agree that I've really, really cut down on the salt.
Yep.
So I used to.
Yep.
So, but I'm noticing. That was my first today that I noticed that. All right. So then we got the bell pepper. So you could use like the little sweet peppers if you wanted to. I did it over the weekend. I used those little sweet mini peppers. And I actually chopped those up and just took the top off and I threw them in the oven on a parchment paper. And I roasted them for like 350 for about an hour, give or take. And then I used those and some bim bim bop bowls we did. So put them on there. Oh my gosh, they were so good. So, you could roast up some of your sweet little mini peppers, or just use you could use green if you wanted to, yellow, orange. You could mix some colors, which would be really pretty. I just had the red. So I add all those in. Yep, black beans gone. Penny just got it. Stir that in. All right, and then we've got the spices. So spices, I've got them all here together. So I've got chili powder, I've got cumin, and that's it. So I didn't add any salt or pepper in there. Just trying to cut back a little bit. All right, put that in there. That's going to give you your nice flavors. One thing I always say about spices is, even with my recipes, start low. So if I say like a teaspoon of chili powder, start with like maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon or 1/4 of a teaspoon, and then taste it and see what you think. Because what I don't want you to do is to try one of the recipes and then come to find out the spice level's too high, or basically too high, and then you throw it away. That's the last thing I want to do, because I know that there's tons of recipes out there that when you taste them, they're overspiced. And so I really keep the spices on the low. So you might want to add a little bit more, or you might even want to add a little bit less of like the chili powder, but try it low first and then add to it, because you can always add, but you can't take away. And I don't want you to ruin recipes and throw food away. Okay, so got the spices and bring to a boil. So after that, so at the very end, we're going to do the lime juice, which I will leave right there. And then we have some cilantro. So I'll pull this off to the side. All right, let me show you what it looks like. Smells delicious. It's one of those ones that when you're doing something in your house, and then you, like, if you go out to walk the dogs or just take a walk, or you go outside for a few minutes and come back in, that smell of like Mexican food cooking, wonderful. There you go. So there's all the tomatoes and everything else in there. The quinoa, of course, and the brown rice hasn't puffed up yet, but so it's got a little ways to go. So I'm going to keep that going. I'm going to put a lid on it, and I'm going to let it simmer. All right. Throw that over there. Doing a nice little boil already. So I'll kind of watch it, like I said, and then if you need to add like a little bit more water, if you're using water, or if you've got the vegetable broth and you need to, want to add some more water, just those type of things, feel free to add a little bit of moisture on it, especially when the rice starts puffing up and starts cooking. You might need to add a little bit more moisture. Because the worst thing to do is have like dry rice. So kind of watch it a little bit. So I'll keep watching it. So that's it. I mean, the nice thing about this one, it's a one pan, kind of a one pot, one pan meal. So you didn't have to, think about it. You didn't have to cook, everything before and dirty thing up, everything. It's all in one pan, and it's one pan can go in the dishwasher, or I can get Jerry, since I'm cooking dinner, to do it. Maybe. All right. So any questions so far on the Mexican brown rice with quinoa? Didn't see any questions or anything. But think about this too as a base. So if you're, if you don't like black beans, put in pinto beans, put in cannellini beans. Or if you don't want beans at all, leave it out. You could do that too. There's all kinds of different things that you could do with this, which would be really good. And then you could put in, like I said, different peppers. You could at the very end put some zucchini squash in it. So chop it up into little small diced and kind of make it all like a whole meal. So there's so many things that you could add to this, and you could actually change up the flavors too by putting different spices. So if you put, take the black beans out, but put a lot of the other things in it and the green chilies, but put maybe some more Mediterranean flavors, you got the whole, a whole nother dish that you've made just with different spices and different flavors. So nice to have one pot type of meals. I love them. All right, so base recipe for that one. So we'll just let that one I'll watch it and keep simmering it, but smells wonderful. Okay, so the sweet potato cauliflower tacos. Does quinoa need to be washed or rinsed? So there's two camps. So quinoa, two camps on it. I don't wash or rinse my quinoa at all. I know some people do, and some people have been raised, mom did that and all those type of things. It really just depends. I would say do whatever you want to do, but I don't. If I do regular quinoa, so if I'm cooking quinoa, the secret to cooking quinoa, and this is a little bit different because it's in a brown rice with that and stuff, but the secret to cooking quinoa is to take, like, if you do like a cup of quinoa, dried quinoa, and then you do like 2 cups of water. I usually just do water, or you can do vegetable broth, or you can do half and half. What I do is I get it boiling on the stove. So everything's boiling, and it boils for about 2 or 3 minutes, maybe up to like 4 minutes. Nice rumble, boil and things. And then I turn off the stove and I put the lid on it and I walk away. So what I don't do is I don't keep boiling the quinoa, because a lot of times you'll see, and this is fine when you're doing this kind of a dish, but you'll see that it kind of breaks apart, and you'll see like the alicote and stuff, these little pieces of it. If you want phenomenal fluffy quinoa, put it the amount of water and the amount of quinoa you want. Boil it for about 3, no more than about 5 minutes. Turn off the stove, put a lid on it, and let it sit. Usually about 15-20 minutes, give or take, and then come back and fluff it up with a fork. It is the best quinoa you'll ever have. So don't just keep boiling it, let it sit. And that's the best thing that you can do with quinoa. All right, so make sure you have questions. Yep. Roasted sweet potatoes and cauliflower tacos. So I've got a small amount because I actually baked some ahead of time. So I've got cauliflower. So I did it just little, just kind of chopped it up a little bit. So if I got too big of a piece, I just took a knife and just separated it. So you'll see like on this, it's a little bit flat side. So I wanted like little, kind of like bite-sized pieces, that type of thing. And it, it shrinks up just a little bit when it's roasting. And then I did little bite-sized, little small dice and stuff of sweet potato. So you'll notice on my sweet potato though, it has the skin on it. So I just washed it down, and then I just chopped it up and left the skin on, because the skin is good. And so why sit there and, like when you're over the sink and you're peeling the sweet potatoes and things like that, no need. Wash it down, and then just right away, just chop it up. No waste, which is really good. Okay, so if you get big pieces, just go in and kind of separate them with your fingers. All right, so we got this. So what we're going to do, if we follow along, so I've got the oven going, and it's actually a little bit less. I got the sweet potatoes and the cauliflower in here. So I'm going to drizzle a little bit of vegetable broth. If you don't have vegetable broth, water. Grab my pan. So baking sheet, you can tell, well-loved baking sheets, and parchment paper. I always use parchment paper when I'm doing something like this or roasting things in the oven. Reason why is that it keeps your baking sheet clean, and you may have to just do a little bit of scrubbing if something kind of, you know, runs over or something like that. And it's just easy cleanup, you know, just like you're pretty much like this, and you rinse your baking sheet and you're ready to go, which is really nice. Okay, so got the little bit of the drizzle of the vegetable broth, and then we've got the spices. So the spices that we have on here, same thing that I'll tell you, start with the smaller amount of spices and then build up. So I got chili powder, so same thing, almost like the Mexican brown rice has, ground cumin, smoked paprika, garlic powder, and a little bit of dried oregano. So when I do oregano, that's one thing I for sure always go less. So if somebody says, you know, if I'm looking at some other recipe and I thought, oh, that sounds good, I want to try it. If they say a teaspoon of oregano, I'll do an eighth. And then I start, because oregano can overtake your dishes really fast. And so I always start with really small amounts, and then I taste it and I'm like, okay, yeah, I could add a little bit more or a little bit more. So I always say oregano goes a long way. All right, so get the spices. So I'm just gonna get them out of the dish here, sprinkle them out. And I definitely used a smoked paprika. I use savory spice. So Savory Spice is a shop that you can order from that are here in town, but I know that, like, you know, Chef AJ has all kinds of different spices that she uses. But this one's a sweet smoked Spanish paprika, and it's absolutely wonderful. It gives you that nice smoky flavor, but then it's also got a little bit of sweetness with it. This is my most favorite paprika. There's, you know, all kinds of paprika out there, but this one, die for it. So Savory Spice, really good.
Where do you get it?
So Savory Spice, they're actually here in Denver, which is really nice. So there's a big warehouse that they actually, they grind all the spices. So like if it's like cinnamon, they grind the cinnamon sticks and that type of thing. And it's a shop that has, like, when you walk in and you say, I want cinnamon, they'll go, okay, here's your wall. Here's like 15, 20 different cinnamons. You need to go ahead and smell and taste to see. And like you can put that, they have these like little shakers here. And they get to smell it, and then you get to figure out which one you want. So they do it here in town. So they have all these shops you can buy fresh spices, and they go through lots of spices. When I do like this, I will buy this jar from them, and it's like $6, $7. And then what I'll do is I'll buy the refills, and they give them to them in plastic bags. You want to show it real quick? I'll show you real quick. I'll show you, this is what I do.
Spices.
I've never shown that before, so you're the first. So I will buy like this one, cinnamon. I'll buy like 2 cups, 3 cups like this. And they put the date on it, which is really nice. And then I will keep refilling my jar. And so the cool thing about it is that, you know, I spend because I like the jar and I like the, you know, the little collapsible tops and things. But when I refill it, if it costs me $7 for this, to refill it is about $2.50, $3. So it's a great way and stuff to keep having those fresh smelling spices, and they taste really good. And I've had some of my spices up to a year from Savory Spice, and they still are wonderful. So that's okay. So that's Savory Spice. All right. So just do a little mix because you've got the spice in there. All right. Then we've got a little bit of lime. So lime juice, so I'm just going to pour that over the top just to give that nice acid to the dish. And then once you're done, just dump it onto a parchment lined baking sheet. If you've got the, you know, the Silpat or any of the silicones, all those kind of things, you can use that too. All right, and then it just, boom, goes in the oven. And I'll show you what one looks like after it gets going. She's having a heyday. There's like nothing she can bark at, but I think she thinks she's supposed to. Okay, I'll show you this because it's cooking up. Doesn't that look good so far? It's not even fully done, but it's already starting to look really, really good. Nice and rich. So I'll keep watching it because the liquid burns off pretty quick. So we'll just keep watching it and make sure that we're doing good. And that's going to be for that. All right, so then we've got everything in there. So I'm gonna watch a little bit. I'm gonna add some of the beans to my other mix. I'll show you what that looks like. So there's my roasted cauliflower and sweet potatoes. It's all nicely mixed together. And the nice thing about it too, I mean, if you didn't have the time, you could actually, if you didn't want to roast everything, but the roasting gives a really nice flavor, you could actually do it like steam. So you could put some, really quickly cauliflower and sweet potatoes in there, maybe some broccoli or something like that, and then make your tacos that way too. But the roasting's really good. So once it's getting close to almost being done, and this is really being done, put your beans in with it too. So it's almost like one of those one pan type things. I'll leave the rest for the small one. And then I'm going to put those in there because it nicely warms them up. No fuss, no muss, no microwave. All right. Grandma. This is my famous blender. I always show it. I always try to keep it out, but my famous blender. This is, we did this for when we did one of our summits here in Denver. And there was a lid that was in here that, because I had just, stored it. I had like the lid in there and this was all kind of sitting in there. And it got turned on. So the lid cracked it. But you know what? It's amazing. These Vitamix, it didn't go all the way through. So it's still in great shape. It just looks bad. One of these days I'll get a new one. All right, so cashew crema. If you didn't want to use cashews, or any type of nuts, there's all you can use pretty much any of the different nuts. If you didn't want to do that, you could use silken tofu. That'd be another way that you could use it. So you could make this cashew crema with silken tofu and put all the rest of the ingredients in there and have the same nice thing. So here is the cashews. So you don't have to soak them. You don't have to soak them, but I usually do just because it's easier on your blender. I mean, if you got a Vitamix or a Blendtec or something like that, it blends them up no matter what, but it takes a little bit longer. So since I have the time, I just threw some water, just wrapped them up and put them in the fridge last night, along with everything else, all the extra ingredients, and then had it all ready to go. So just makes it easier on the blender. It takes less time to blend up. How much silken tofu would you use to substitute? So let me grab one. I'll show you my most favorite silken tofu. You can get it at the stores, it's by regular tofu and everything else, so it's refrigerated. Or if you get into like this, I'm trying to see Sprouts, Whole Foods, all those type of more natural markets, organic markets, they actually have this, and it's called Morinu, and it is tofu, and it's silken tofu, which is really nice, and it's in these little pouches like this. So if you were going to substitute this, I would do half of this one. So if you do the ones that you get in the grocery store and they're about this big, I would still do no more than a half with that, unless you're going to double the recipe. But this one here is so nice because you just put it in your pantry and you don't have to worry about taking up refrigerator space, which we know is all very precious. So these are great. Love these things. And like I said, you find them in the Asian, the Asian aisles and stuff with all the Asian food, but it's usually in your natural markets that you find them. So Whole Foods, you can actually, I think I've seen them on Amazon too. So MORI, and then N as in Nancy, U, silken tofu. And I always get the extra firm because I know that's usually a question with it too. I just do everything with extra firm because I like it that it holds up a little bit better and it's not as mushy. So anything I do, silken tofu firm, extra firm. But these are wonderful. I'll put that there. Love that. Okay, cashews. You're welcome. Let me just stir the rice. Let's check the. I'm going to add some more vegetable broth just to keep it. So that was probably, if I just added some more, that was probably about a half a cup. Because with all the rice and the quinoa and everything else soaking up the moisture, it'll be fine. It will burn off. But that way it's not, especially with stainless steel, it's not burning to the bottom of the pan. All right, so then we've got the cashews in here. Then we're going to add chipotle peppers, so adobe. So these are really good. I just use, you could use a whole pepper if you wanted to, or you can just buy the adobe sauce, which is really nice. When you get it, you'll get it in little cans about this big, and they're about this big, so about that tall and about this big around. It's a lot. It's a lot of spice. And if you don't use it a lot, just take whatever you have left over, write on a baggie what it is, like chipotle pepper, and then just freeze it. And then when you need it, especially if you're doing like those little snack bags, when you need it, you just keep using it, you know, just take a little bit out, use it for something like this, put it into some other dish, and you've got it all ready to go. So don't get rid of it, just freeze it. All right, so let me grab that. And if you don't want this tends to be a smoky. It's like a smoky poblano. It's not real hot, but it has like a smoky, but it has a little bit of a zing. So if you don't want something that's like smoky and zingy, then just leave this out. But if you want something that's smoky and zingy, and then you want to add even more, sriracha is good too. That's another one that you can add to it. All right, so that's in there. And then if we're following along, we've got the garlic. So 1 clove of garlic. I finally learned to freeze the chilies in adobo sauce. Yeah, that's exactly. No one can eat. I have seen some people. I have some friends and stuff that yes, they would eat the whole can, and they would put it on. They'd put like 1 pepper per taco because they like to, you know, like to break out the sweat and all those kind of things. But most of us cannot. So sometimes you just want like just a little piece of it or a little bit of the juice to, you know, add some flavor to it. Just freeze it. Just put it in the freezer and then just keep bringing it out. And I'm, you know, I sound like I'm a freezer fan, but there's so much that you can keep. Like you can do that roasted garlic, which is wonderful, especially when you're making tomato sauce or, you know, even if you're doing a soup and you just take like, you know, 4 or 5 of those and they're easy to chop up with a nice knife and just throw them in soup. It just changes the flavor of things. Like if you do a vegetable soup with a kind of the roasted garlic, or you do vegetable soup with regular garlic, there's a different flavor profile, which is really nice. And then you can freeze like your spinach. So if you've got a bunch of spinach left over, you bought some for salad, but you have left over, freeze it. Use it for your, you know, for your spaghetti sauces or your vegetable soups or any of those kind of things. That's really good. I also freeze kale and keep that, and then I'll just kind of crunch it up and put it in soups or whatever else I'm using it for. Mushrooms, I'll freeze mushrooms when I have extras, and then I pull those out. I don't eat them. We don't put them on like a salad or something, but in soups and tomato sauces and all those kind of things is good. I don't know what she's barking at. All right. She's usually good, and then all of a sudden, sometimes she'll pick this time to bark. All right, and then the spices. So the spices are very similar. So you've got chili powder, smoked paprika, and cumin. So just add those in. Same smoked paprika, got that nice smoky flavor, which I like, and it's got the smoky with the adobo. And then get that going. So then you get a 1/2 cup of water. And I'll probably grab some more water just in case. And then you've got some lime juice because you want a little bit of that acid for that. So depending on how much moisture, so let me grab some more water just in case we need it. All right, we got all the ingredients. If you want salt, black pepper, feel free to add it. I'm just going to keep it as plain with this. And let me grab my tamper down. You want it creamy, so if you need to add more water, add water or vegetable broth, either one. That's looking really good. Yes. So will the mushrooms caramelize once frozen? Yes, they will. So you would just the same way you would put them in some like vegetable broth and put them in the pan and then just cook them up. Just get some of this down a little bit. Oops. Ignore the cabinet. That's why you have white cabinets so you can see when you splash something. Actually just do it a little bit longer. Let me get a little bit on the side because some of the cashews pop up. You're going to take the time to soak the cashews. You want them all used. The other thing too is I freeze all my nuts. So that's another thing. keeps them fresher longer, and you don't have to worry about the nuts going rancid on you, which is really nice. Needs a little bit longer, but good. All right, so on the crema, here, here's what it looks like, because it's going to take on your orange coloring because you've got the adobe, the peppers in there. So it just gives a nice little orange flavor, you know, just kind of orange look and stuff, which is really pretty. So you could do it just right out of here if you want to, or you could always do something fun. I'm just going to do it right out of here and pour it, but you could do these little squeeze bottles. And then what you do is when if you have like a whole bunch of the sauce left over, you know, pour it in a squeeze bottle like this, or just a glass container with a lid. And then I always put plastic wrap, even when I'm using mason jars, I'll put plastic wrap here, and then I'll put the top back on, and it seals it, and it keeps it so much fresher, so much longer. So things don't dry out. Plus, if you've got like in the mason jar, you don't have the metal touching the glass, and then you get kind of that almost like dark coloring of the food and things. Sometimes it almost like moldy. So if you just put some plastic wrap, it keeps you from doing that. But if you wanted to have like a party, you know, since COVID's everything's starting to open up a little bit, you could put it in here and put like 2 or 3 different sauces, and people could just drizzle on their tacos. But I'm just going to keep it in here because I think it's good just the way it is. And then I'm going to give it a quick taste, see if it needs anything. That's good. You know, the kick of that, because I didn't put the actual pepper in there, just the sauce around it. It has, like I said, smoky flavor and very light kick, which is really nice. So that's off to the side. Time. All right, so we've got some fixings we need to do. So avocado. So I've got avocado on both recipes, and that's a beautiful avocado. If you're using the avocado, I always show this too. I'm always full of tips and tricks. Love the tips and tricks. If you want to save your avocado, you always want to keep the one with the pit in it, and that keeps you from eating the whole avocado because we know that they're a little bit high calorie. But if you get it, you can get them on Amazon, and they're called avo, so avocado, so AVO savers, and they're like 2 for 10 or 2. It was like under 10. And then what you do is you just take your avocado here with the pit, put it in the little hole like this. You give it a nice little wrap, and boom. So around the edges, you know, a couple days and stuff, you might see a little bit of browning stuff, but you can just, you know, just do a little knife kind of a shave on that, and then you've got this beautiful avocado that doesn't go to waste, which is really nice. But I'm going to use it, and I'll show you that. Okay, so avocado. So on the cauliflower tacos, you can take the avocado, you can just mash it if you want. So you could put it on the bottom of the taco, put everything else on there. I'm actually going to do just a dice of it, so we can put it on the top, because Jerry, he will eat some avocado, but he doesn't eat a lot of avocado, so I don't want to overwhelm the tacos that I'm making, because he usually gets because he's so lucky, he gets the first serving.
Yep.
The one I make and I take pictures of, so don't want to ruin it for him. All right, so get this one here. So all I did was just go in and just do some dices on it like that, and then I just take a spoon. And you don't even have to take a spoon if you don't want to dirty the spoon. You can actually just squeeze it, and all of your avocado comes out too. So there's that one. For nice decorations there. Get that ready. And I thought I remember seeing, yeah, there is, okay, there's avocado. So I put avocado in the end. I'm actually going to leave probably the avocado out. I'll put just a little bit in when I serve it. Just for Jerry.
Thank you.
Okay, get a little dry. A little bit more vegetable broth. So here, I'm going to show you real quick. That's what's starting to look like. All nice and getting all nice and fluffy. But like I said, an easier way if you want to do it too without having to kind of watch it is just have, just put in some of your extra brown rice and quinoa and just add it to the end and stuff and just make sure it's warm when you get it all ready. Okay, let's get this out of the way. And then once again, see how in my water. And I'm going to get it going. That way I want to make sure it's done for you guys. So watch that. Watch out, baby. She's looking for more black beans. What's a healthy wrap? So really, let's see. So with the mushrooms, once I let the mushrooms. With a healthy wrap, what's a healthy wrap would be? Alvarado, it's Alvarado Street Bakery, has a freshly sprouted wheat burrito size wrap. And you can order these on, I think, Amazon, or you can order them from Alvarado.
Natural Grocers has them.
Natural Grocers has them. A lot of different places have them. This one's a really good one. And it wraps really well. So if you just warm it just a little bit, we'll do like large burritos and things like that in it. But it's really good and healthy. Non-GMO, all that. So Alvarado Street Bakery.
What about glutens?
No glutens, all that fun stuff.
That's good.
Oh, that one's gluten. But if you want like gluten-free, then there's all kinds of like rice ones. The rice ones, though, unfortunately, they don't hold up really well. I've tried quite a few different ones, and they tend to, when you try to roll them around each other and stuff, they flake and they fall apart. So that's why I like the sprouted wheat ones.
But there's got a lot of new ones now.
That going, just keep it stirring it. All right, so vegetables are looking good, so I'm going to pull them out because I'm going to need the oven. So it's amazing how when you especially do the little bite size, it's amazing how quickly and stuff that the sweet potatoes and the cauliflower will become really nice and edible really quick. So put that there because I did that for earlier. Now I'm going to warm up the tortillas a little bit. So I'm just using it's Tortillas Mexico, but you can get, there's all kinds of things. You just, find whatever your favorite brand is. And this one here is like at a regular King Soopers, Kroger's, all those type of things. But we just, this is one of Jerry's favorites. And so he always buys this one up. So I'll just do I'll get 6 going. And then we'll have extras left over. And guess what Jerry's eating for lunch tomorrow?
Yep.
All those, so just heat them a little bit so they're a little more flexible. But you could also do, like I said, you could do tortilla shells. You could do make them hard tortillas or hard corn shells and stuff by just put them in the oven and just putting them around the racks, and then you'll have these nice little corn shells, which is really nice. It's hard. Okay, all right. So we got everything. So I need to get the lime cut real quick because we're going to do some lime wedges. So those are ready to go. Nice little citrus to add to that. I also chopped up some tomatoes. You could do like the regular cherry tomatoes or just I did a Roma tomato because I had that in there. And then I am not a fan of cilantro, neither is Jerry, but we bought some cilantro. So I'm going to get some of that ready just a little bit. Just a little bit on the leaves. We'll do it more for decoration so we can take it off before we eat. But if you're a cilantro fan, add it. Add as much as you like. To me, tastes like soap.
Got that cilantro gene.
Yeah, yep. I got that cilantro gene. It's kind of funny where I met somebody that also has that gene. Okay. All right. Boom. So this cleaned up a little bit. Stir the rice. What would really help this too, if you've got some brown rice that's quick cooking, That's probably one thing I should have probably got to. This one takes a little bit longer. So it takes a little bit longer stuff to get it soft. But if you have one of the quick cooking, what is it, 10-minute brown rices, it'll cook a lot faster. It's like a couple more minutes. Tastes really good though. Yum. Okay. So don't do your tortilla or your corn tortillas and stuff too long, because then they'll end up getting really, really kind of tough. But then if they do and they cook too long, crunch them up, make chips, make a bowl. This off to the side, that later. Okay, then let me grab the hot pad. Grab my big mix here. That one. You can tell I got the chef fingers because I can move hands without Jerry's like, no, don't do that, but I just get used to it. Okay, so now we grab a big plate. And I've got the plate for the bowl for the rice. Okay, now's the fun part. Okay, so you have this. So this is when you're making these. So you could actually add the avocado. You could smash it on the bottom and kind of smear it around, almost like, doing like a layer of peanut butter on bread or something. So you can do that, but I'm going to actually just do it regular. So I'm going to grab a big spoon. Make sure everything's mixed up. Isn't that pretty? You see the picture of that? Make sure you got the mixture of everything. So you've got the white cauliflower, you've got the beautiful sweet potatoes and the black beans. So I'm going to kind of roll them up together. Right down the middle. Number 3. Couple more cauliflower. Gotta have the cauliflower showing. One more. And one more. Jerry won't eat all 4. Well, he might.
Yep.
He might, but it'll just help with my plate. A bit more. Black beans. Grab some of the big cauliflower because that sometimes will escape your spoon. And if so, fingers. Okay. So there we go so far. So kind of more even, which is really nice. Open it up a little bit. Okay, with that, then we're going to do, so we've got the tomatoes and things, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the crema first. Let me make sure I'm stirring the. All right, so got that going. So I'm going to add the crema. So we'll do a small. Then he's like, ooh, something on the floor. Okay. Just grab a spoon. Drizzle. And this is a good sauce too. You could actually use this on, just the vegetables the next day or in a bowl or, just, on potatoes. There's all kinds of different things that you could definitely use this sauce for. Okay, then tomatoes. Nothing better than adding a little bit of freshness to anything that you're making. If you have the really bright red cherry tomatoes, that would be really pretty too. The grape tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, because they're really, really bright. Okay. A little bit of tomato. One there, there. Then avocado. Let's grab, since I threw all my spoons on the floor. Jerry throws them out. We'll just add them to something else.
I'll eat a couple.
You what?
I'll eat a couple.
Whoops. Adds nice color. There we go. And you've got your lime. The nice little pieces of lime that you can put in there. So just kind of add those in. And get them out of the dish. Actually, since that one's got the and that, and then cilantro leaves. We'll get the rice out, and we are set for dinner.
Could use cabbage too. So you could use cabbage. Also.
Yep, Jerry said he could use, because he loves cabbage. So you could actually make like a just like shred up cabbage with this, or you could make a really nice like slaw and put that on there, which would be really good too. So you could definitely add some cabbage to it, especially if you did like red cabbage. It would be beautiful. Okay, so we got everything on there. Everything's there. Add a little bit of the lime juice in there. Mix that up. The lime juice too gives you that salty flavor, which is really nice. So it adds a little bit of that flavor without adding all the different salts. Good. Okay. So there is my cauliflower sweet potato tacos, and it's got the crema sauce on there, and then of course all the fresh ingredients like the avocado, the tomatoes, the cilantro, the limes, everything else. Doesn't that look good? And the black beans and everything. Yum. That's dinner tonight. I have a feeling that Jerry will probably eat all 4 of these. So I'll probably have to make some more.
Yep.
And then let me grab the
question.
Yes, those shells and stuff, Mona, the shells that we just showed you with the Alvarado Street, yes, they're all oil free. Everything in this house has to be oil free. So Jerry's a big proponent of all that. So same thing on the rice. If you love cilantro, add a little bit of cilantro to it. I'm going to decorate it here real quick. Let's have a little bit of avocado. I've got the tomatoes, so why not? Let's add some fresh tomatoes because we have leftover. A little bit of the avocado, mix that in. A little bit of cilantro. You could do the fresh lime on it too if you wanted to. I'm just using the cilantro purely for decoration. One of the things when I always used to do cooking classes, the face-to-face, the cilantro always went home with anybody that was in the class that wanted it, because it would be one of those things that I don't use. Okay, so make sure we got everything for the decorations. Yep, avocado, lime juice, got everything there. So here you go. This is, like I said, your cauliflower roasted sweet potato tacos that look absolutely beautiful. And there is the Mexican brown rice with quinoa. Now, who could say that that's not a delicious dinner? Filling and good. And then tomorrow when you have plenty of the brown rice left over, and you have some of the vegetables left over, have a bowl with more of the crema. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoy. So manja manja, enjoy, and I hope you guys make the recipes. If you do, please let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from everybody. And like I said, if you have any questions or anything like that, or want me to look at substitutions for recipes, happy to do. And then if I talked about a recipe, happy to share it. So I hope you guys enjoy. I will talk to you soon. I'm gonna put that one down because it's heavy. Love you all. See you in
Thank
2.
you.
See ya. Good
Hey,
night.
what was the name of those shells that's on that plate there?
Oh, these here,
That's on your plate, yeah.
Corn tortillas, yeah.
corn tortillas, yes, they're oil free.
All,
And they're
most
just-
corn tortillas are oil free you buy out there.
And what's the name of those?
It is Tortillas Mexico.
Okay, I'll have to look for those. We have a
Most corn
Kroger
tortillas
here,
are
but
oil free.
Yeah,
we don't have the stores that they have in Colorado anymore. I miss those.
Yeah, but
I get it.
most corn tortillas are oil free though. I haven't seen many that do have
Okay, thank you. That looks good.
you're welcome.
it. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.